So when you registered, one of the questions that we asked you was about the sort of resources that you were interested in. So some of you gave us some ideas about particular resources or areas that you were interested in. So the next couple of slides, I'm just going to briefly give a bit of an overview, some of the resources that are available at LMIRCA online. But I've created a much bigger, more detailed list that's actually in a spreadsheet that we'll make available to you after this session, because part of this whole event session is about you sharing your resources and ideas with each other and with LMIRC, because that's going to really help us to improve our collection and our service. So we'll also include those new requests in this spreadsheet with some examples of resources that are available. So I've just pulled a few of those out into these slides. So some of you are asking about the new EL curriculum. And I guess probably you've already accessed some of these resources. But there is a big package, if you don't know about it, on the FUSE website that's called Getting to Know the New EAL Curriculum. So there's a number of resources there around the pathways, there's visuals, there's posters, there's all sorts of teacher resources in there. There's also new resources being developed by the EAL team. And there's a link there to the specific web page on the department website where those new support resources for the new EAL curriculum will be put. And they're going to be available in the next coming weeks and months. As well as the new resources, the EAL team are also working on updating all of the previous DET EAL publications. So probably a lot of you are familiar with some of the older resources, things like beginning EAL primary and secondary, No English Don't Panic, grammar games. All of those resources are being updated. They will be digital and available from the EAL, DET EAL web pages as well. Probably a lot of you have already accessed either the live webinars or the recordings around implementing the new EAL curriculum from the VCAA website, but just in case, there's a whole lot of great webinars on there as well. Many of you asked about differentiation, so just to let you know the sort of things that are available at LMIRC. So we've got things like resources for teachers, what you need to know about differentiation. So that's giving you more of the why and how to differentiate your lesson plans. Quick ideas, this is a fairly new one in that Bloomsbury series, 100+ ideas. That one's on differentiation. And then on the screen there, you can see an example from a page, a scan of one of the pages of a reader, non-fiction reader that we have at LMIRC. So we've got many texts like this that will be useful in terms of providing a text on the topic that you're working on, the content, but with reduced text, more visuals, more diagrams. So you can see that one there gives a step-by-step sort of diagram, the process of an icebreaker moving through ice. This particularly reader also has a glossary in the back, and many of them do, and that's a sort of resource we're always looking for. And in some cases, in some subject areas, we might have resources in the first languages of your students as well. So there might be a topic, so something really common like life cycles. In some cases, we'll have a reader in a first language of the students that might be you may be able to use to scaffold the content, the understanding of the content before introducing the vocabulary or the lesson further on. So in terms of the types of readers we've got two different lists. One that'll let you know about the range of physical hard copy readers we've got. And then we've got one that's online material. So those are both hyperlinks there that you can click on and go straight to a PDF list, a resource list, giving you links to different sites. Oops. Some of you asked about online and digital resources. Some of them were about working with adult students. You've probably already been using a whole range of really fantastic resources, and most of you will already know about the resource package that was put up on Fuse in the first lockdown. So there's a package of resources there, so that's a link there to Fuse. You may not know about the EAL Highland site. That was a site in the UK, an organisation that provides a lot of bilingual resources, some lesson plans, and they've put up a quite a long list of different platforms, apps, activities, all sorts of different ways of using technology and online resource sources with EAL students. So that's a link to a PDF document with links to online resources. Again, the online reading materials, and also another LMIRC list that will provide links to online multilingual reading material. Here's some of the examples here that are on the list. So you probably already know about quite a few of these. In case you don't, the Unite for Literacy site has National Geographic readers on it. They're available in the audio, at least. The text is always in English, but the audio is available in about 30 languages. And there's quite a few science themes in there, so there's a range of different categories and some levels. The Storyweaver site has readers in all sorts of different topic areas, including STEM areas, and there's over 200 languages on that site, and I think there's about 15 or 18,000 stories on that site. There's quite a lot. Many of these sites, the Storyweaver African Storybook, and some of the others, the African Storybook, sorry, I said that one, they enable you to download the story, so you don't have to have an internet connection, so that can be downloaded onto a computer or USB or whatever, and made available to the students that way or sent to them. And they can also be downloaded and printed out as booklets if you want a hard copy resource. And also with many of these sites, they do allow users to download the visuals for a story for you to then put in your own translations or own retellings of a story. So Storyweaver in particular, you're able to do that, and also on Let's Read Asia. So you may have parents or community members that you're in touch with that do have the language skills to do to create translations. So that might be something that you're interested in doing, and especially where there's not the language of the students in your classes always. It's a bit more of a chance with the Storyweaver site with 230 languages, but even then not all languages of students represented in our diverse state can be found on these sites, unfortunately. But that might be an option if you have some parents who have those language skills that could enable them to do those translations for you. Just some of the examples of the linguistically diverse texts, books available at LMIRC. So this is just a small example of what we've got in the collection. We've got a really big range of picture books. YA novels, that's much more difficult. So if you've got any ideas of where we can access YA novels in languages, and especially written by authors from those countries or cultures, we'd love to know about it. So that's an area that we're really trying to develop at LMIRC. So any ideas or contacts you have, we'd really appreciate. So we've got things like, you know, the easy ones to find: Harry Potter in a number of different languages, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. What else have we got? I Am Malala in Persian only at the moment, but we're trying to get more of those. We've got quite a few non-fiction books, things like this series, Comparing Countries, Towns and Villages. That one's in English and Urdu. But we've got things like non-fiction picture books, some really lovely ones like this about the whale shark. This is in English and Chinese, Mandarin. But, you know, some resources like this that could provide an EL student. So there's very limited text in this one. Some of them have got quite a few, which makes it difficult. But the great thing about some of those online multilingual sites is that they provide audio as well, because that's one of the stumbling blocks when we're providing and trying to support students by having first language resources available, is that they can't always read their first language, and the parents might not be able to read the first language either. It's been an oral language. So those multilingual sites that have the audio in first language can be really useful. I'll just go back and show you. So the Unite for Literacy has audio in languages. The Storybooks Canada site also has the audio in languages. So now I'll just go into a couple of slides that will just give you some quick examples of the type of resources available at LMERC in the levels that we've sort of broken you into for the breakout rooms. So in terms of adult EAL, we've got a range of resources such as beginner level picture dictionary. So the images, the sort of vocabulary is suitable for adult learners. So I don't know whether you know the New South Wales Thematic Picture Dictionary. So we've got hard copies of these at LMERC, but the New South Wales Department of Education have now made this available freely online in digitised form. So I've got a link there, as well as the workbook to go along with that. So it's quite a detailed workbook. So I don't know whether you can see those images. Yeah, so that's a thematic dictionary, and it's suitable for secondary and, or right across actually, because the imagery is quite suitable for older students. We've got a range of readers at LMERC, but also we've got that resource list of giving you online high interest, low literacy readers. So I might just go try and show you this ESL literacy readers site. So I'm just going to stop sharing and open up the, oops, go back. Sorry, just find you the right site. Okay, can you see the readers there, Bow Valley College? Yeah, so I don't know whether you've seen this one, number of different levelled readers from A to G there, everyday topics, and these have include text and the audio. So you can see there. All right, so we'll go back. So that was level B. So that's the second level. I'll go back here. All right, so that's just one of the examples of the readers or sites with a range of readers available online. And the Storybook Canada is another one as well, and that has audio in English and also about 38 different languages as well. So some of their stories are more suitable for younger children, but there's a lot on there that are also photographic as well, and with topics that can be suitable for secondary and adult. None of them utilise academic language, unfortunately, so it's that very beginner, you know, communicative and daily life sort of vocabulary. But there's quite a wide range of themes on those sites. We've got quite a range of kits here. Many of you will be familiar, if you're an adult teacher, with the AIMS resources. Queensland TAFE also have a range of reader sets. We'll have typically something that'll have a teacher resource. This one from New South Wales, AIMS actually, as a culturally diverse short biographies. So there's about that much text in this particular one. So that's more of advanced level, but that also includes a comprehensive teacher resource with a range of activities that would include, you know, reading, writing, grammar activities with those. We've got a range of the Cengage resources. I don't know whether you know the ones called Keynote, Impact, 21st Century Reading. We've got a range of those at LeMurc. They utilise TED Talks and National Geographic videos. With those, they're now available as ebooks, so it can be totally digital. But with a lot of them, there's a book, physical book, that so you can look through, have a look at the units of work. They almost always include reading, writing, grammar activities in the context of the theme, the video, the text that they're looking at. And the audio is usually available free online. We've got a number of games that could be used with adults. So things like bingo, conversation cube, so where you've got the communication activities and you want to encourage speaking and listening activities. We've got activities for pair work and so on. In terms of listening resources, we've got a resource list for that as well. And so that gives you links to a whole lot of resources online. So things like ABC English, many of the activities that are available that will include a range of learning activities with them. Some of you asked about online or interactive activities for beginner level adults. And again, that EAL Highland list that I was talking about before, that has a number of sites that would be useful for adult EAL. So things like Games for Learning English, and that's a link there. This PowerPoint will be made available to you, so you'll be able to get those slides and click on the links to have a look at those. But there's some grammar and reading, writing, spelling activities that would be suitable for adults on that list that they've provided. So in terms of primary level resources, we've got a range of things from teacher information for teachers, so especially for teachers who are not trained in teaching EAL. We've got background for teachers, strategies, a range of different activities and activities for different aspects, oral language, speaking and listening and so on. Again, there will be new resources to support the EAL curriculum. In terms of units of work, again, we do have some course books, the Cambridge and Collins ones. There's units of work on the Teal website, and I'll put that link in there in a minute. Vic TESOL, I know I've got a range of lesson plans on their site from the literacy teaching and learning cycle project. I think that's what it was called, sorry. I'll let you know in a minute. In terms of bilingual resources, at LeMurc, we've got a range of bilingual picture dictionaries. I don't know whether you know about these ones, the Mantralingual ones. They come with the digital audio pen. So we've got a number of kits in probably about 12 or 15 languages with these bilingual thematic picture dictionaries, but the kits also come with a range of picture books as well, and some of them with games too. We've got quite a few ways that you can incorporate or use visuals to aid comprehension. So things like sequencing activities. We've got a number of books that will have activities sequencing, but also we've got some actual board games or physical games that you can use. So things that have got cards that they can use and lay out the sequence of stories. We've got flashcards, A4 big flashcards or stories in images with the text at the back, games, picture books with limited text or wordless picture books. We've got a range of those, and big books. For secondary EL learners, again, the units of work, those ones from Cengage Publishing and Bookery are the main supplier in Australia for this range of resources, if you don't know about them. So they're designed for young adults and adults. They've got some academic content in them, really engaging and inspiring stories. There's a range of different genres that are covered in there, and a lot of really engaging biographies and other content. In terms of literacy across the curriculum and developing academic language, we've got a range of resources including strategies and reference resources for teachers around how to teach academic language. Then we've got resources that will include guidance for teachers. So this one that's available on our library catalogue in soft copy as well. So it's got the advice for teachers, strategies and frameworks, and then an actual lesson plan. So this one is around ecosystems, and the authors have made this available in a Word copy in Word format that we've put up on our library catalogue. So that's something that where you can, they've allowed teachers to reuse that Word document, that lesson plan, and adapt it to other science topics. So that'll give you a framework for building up a lesson plan. Then we've got a range of EAL science workbooks. So these are the Pearson ones, if you haven't seen those before. This one was developed for the New South Wales curriculum, but many, as you can imagine, many of the topics are very, very similar to the Victorian curriculum at the same levels. So this one's year 9, and they're looking at electrical energy, reaction types, materials, body coordination, disease, plate tectonics. So that, again, in terms of scaffolding for EL students, a lot more visuals, diagrams, definitions of words, and a lot less text on the page. Again, the high interest, low literacy reading material, bilingual resources where we can for young adults. So we've had a lot of good feedback from teachers who've been able to provide some reading material for newly arrived students, especially where they've received, say, Harry Potter in Thai or Vietnamese, and the students really rapt to have that comfort of being able to read something fluently and also be reading something that other kids are familiar with. So it is providing some support for the students. We've also had some anecdotal feedback from parents that, you know, they've really loved seeing the bilingual resources in the school as well. Okay, so thank you. I'm sorry I've gone over time a bit there.
That's quite all right, Jenny. Thank you so much for such a detailed presentation, such a large sweep of resources that you've talked about. And yeah, I just reflect that, you know, a lot of the time for teachers, the challenge is that you don't know what resources are out there, and to have LMERC and to have people like you who can show them to us is just such a fantastic thing for EAL teachers. So thank you so much for that presentation. Thanks also for making it, changing it from a face-to-face event to an online event. As Jenny said, we also want it to be as conversational as it can be given the setting. So if you have any requests, and I've seen a few people ask more questions, I've seen a few people ask things in the chat function. If you'd like to put them in the chat function now, Jenny will have a look at them, and if there's a quick answer, she'll be able to get back to you within the session. If not, we can sort something out along those lines. So if you have any requests or questions, please put them in the chat function now. We're about to break into breakout rooms. this will probably be about a 15-minute session. We'll be in groups of 5 or 6 based on sector. So you'll either be in a primary, secondary or adult group. If you find you're in the wrong sector group, please leave the group and return to the main session so that we can reallocate you. The session will be completely participant-led. The purpose of the session is to essentially share resources and to draw on the amount of knowledge that we have in the room at the moment. So to do that, there's 2 documents we'd like you to have open. Both of them are in the chat function. One is the discussion questions and the other is the Padlet. So we'll just give you a minute now to go to the chat function and get those 2 documents open, if you could please. As you do that, I'll actually share my screen and just show you what they look like. Okay. All right, so this is what the discussion questions look like. So they're questions around resourcing, and just make sure that the first question is to introduce yourself and your school and your institution and one resource that you might be looking for, so that people can know what your needs are. The questions is for stimulus only, so if you find you're going off the questions, that's no problem whatsoever. In order to share any resources, we've also created a Padlet. So it's divided into primary, secondary, adult, and across the sectors. So you might have a resource which is applicable to all. Please put a title at the top of the screen and just write whatever the resource is and perhaps how you used it, what it's useful for, so that people know. If you would like to upload a file, you can do so by clicking on the up arrow for upload. So you can do that too. Once we have all the resources collated onto this Padlet, we'll then put that in an email to you tomorrow so that you can have access to it after the event as well. Okay, so I'm hoping that everybody has got those 2 files. I might just give you 30 seconds to do that now from the chat function, or any requests that you have for Jenny, and then we'll come back in probably around 12 minutes maybe or so at 5:55. Okay, I think Carly, we can break into our breakout groups, please.